Hello, my name is Robbert Monteban. I'm a proud member of the Vereniging Elektrische Rijders, also known as the Association of Electric Vehicle Drivers. We're a bunch of electric heroes, and also within the cloud, this cloud, we also have our Secretary of State. We have a Secretary of State, Alan Heap. Can you please stand up, Alan Heap? Because when we really talk about, we need to move on, we need to accelerate. And we've been fooling around with V2G. Don't get me wrong, because I love V2G. I'm a born and raised Nissan guy, so I love V2G. But we need to move on, and we need to accelerate. So that's what we're going to do here as well. I'm going to walk around. But can someone pass on the clicker? Is this the clicker? Or can I do it myself? Okay, I'll speed up. Okay, I think already we can already skip this one. We have 11,000 members. We have also ambassadors. We call them ambassadors for the lack of calling them electric heroes. And they help us a lot on a national basis and a regional basis. We carry out lots of research projects, which we'll come to that in a minute. We have an EV panel, so we have people basically talking about various different themes. We have a help desk for those who have questions concerning electric vehicles, charging infrastructure, whatever you can talk about. But there are quite a number of advanced people dealing with those matters. So please, I'll carry on pleading, but become member of this association. Not because of the proactive advocacy, but yes, definitely we need to lobby as much as we can to move on, to accelerate the energy transition and the sustainable mobility. So we need your help on this. I talked about a research project. One of those ongoing research projects is the national charging research we carry out on an annual basis. We have like 3,000 respondents answering questions all related to charging infra, or what kind of vehicle they drive, and what are their barriers they face, and so on and so on. Interesting part of this, and later on I'll talk about this, is that 67% got their own charging point. We're really still at the beginning. As Churchill would say, it's the end of the beginning, but we're still in the beginning of this evolution. 68% of those 67% have their own solar panels. 54% of those having their solar panels also have smart charging at home, and they even have their energy management system in place. So we're really already into smart charging. And of course, this was by the end of May, so most probably the percentage will be much higher. A fifth of those respondents already noticed the higher utility bill. So there's something we really need to work on. Like I mentioned earlier on, we love to talk about the Roger adoption curve, but we all understand that we're pretty much with those energy and with those electric drivers on the left side of the curve. We're very much into innovation and the early majority, and we need to get to the right side of the curve, basically to embrace all those current drivers of ICE vehicles, internal combustion engine drivers, and they've most probably ordered their last vehicle, because by 2035, those days are over. We're all going to be zero emission. But how can we appeal? How can we appeal to that large majority? Because we're only talking about max 400,000 car owners, and we have like 9.7. I think Peter will come to that later on. How many we still need to? How much of the needle needs to move to the right? So how can we appeal to those? We need to make it simpler. So when it comes down to smart charging, same charging questionnaire you saw earlier on touched upon smart charging. So a huge group of people said, 82% in fact, said, well, I'm open to smart charging, provided it's easy, it's transparent, it's controllable, so I can overrule I still can overrule the system. It will be an interesting one for the grid operators, but we'll come to that later on. There needs to be some kind of a financial incentive to it. We need to harness renewables, and for sure there's still this kind of question on concern, will my car be charged enough according to my predictability? Well, that's something we definitely need to work on. For V2G, there's always also a question on V2G. What are your core drivers for V2G? It wasn't about money. It's all about self-optimization, grid stability, and last but not least, make it more sustainable. So I can harness as much solar energy into my vehicle. Hurdles. Welcome to hurdles. A year ago, Strategy Plus, part of PwC, prepared a very nice report, collected all kinds of studies that have been carried out across Europe on V2G potential, talked about hurdles. So how can we overcome the hurdles related to V2G? Compatibility, business case, and last but not least, the rules and regulations. I mean, already, where are you? I think I just missed Arthur, but Arthur, oh, there you go. Arthur, you dwelled upon this, so I'll skip those quickly. Compatibility, we all understand. AC/DC discussion, Shademo, unfortunately, Shademo lost, Bart Shademo lost. And we'll move on to CCS, but still, we'd like to have protocols standardized, and Bart will touch upon that later on. And we also, and when it comes down to grid connections, you'd like to have a standardized grid connection, so you upfront know what the grid connection is like. Business case, I mean, still a high investment is required, because that hardware is more expensive than a regular charging point. When it comes down to taxation, I think we have in the room Mr. Muller who will dwell upon on taxation, whether it's the double energy taxation you pay if you pass on your energy, or when it comes down to the different grid connections you have in the Netherlands, where you also need to deal with the different tariffs. Price transparency is another one. We already currently, with those who are not familiar with electric driving, struggling with the transparency on pricing, let alone you introduce charging and discharging. So that's a challenge. Last but not least, I'll put it into, because Gautam-san will touch upon that later on, the actual battery degradation. Is there such a thing as battery degradation, and how can we incorporate that in the business case? Hurdles to overcome, for sure. I mean, I stole a picture, so I hope no one will blame me for that, but I like the picture that we have contradicting interest when it comes down to net congestion, who's first, and when it comes down to delivering the energy to the grid. And last but not least, clear understanding which roles and requirements from the DSO, the grid operators are there. But again, that will touched upon later on. At the same time, we know it's been discussed already on. We need to move on and basically harnessing as much as possible energy, the energy transition. We see quite a number of electric. Well, let's call them electric car manufacturers, but it used to be car manufacturers. Now they are electric car manufacturers. So it's the chicken and the egg issue is resolved. All the major car manufacturers, if they don't do it, they're stupid. But they move on integrating vehicle to grid in their platform. So whether it's General Motors, Ford, Fiat, Stellantis, or Volkswagen, they're all doing it. So that'll help us to unleash this potential for us. But we need to move on quicker. We need to make it, like as I touched upon earlier, the earlier adopters, the innovators are there. But if we really want to incorporate this technology for, I call them Henk and Ingrid, for the sake of clarity, we need to make it extremely simple. We need to overcome all those hurdles. So therefore, we've touched upon this earlier on. The technology is there already since 2011. A lot of projects have been carried out. I hope we can resolve this issue upon as quickly as possible. Hopefully before 2030, because you all believe that by 2030 it will be mainstream. Because then we can say, well, okay, by applying this, we reduce the grid investment, we will harness renewable energy, and we will lower our CO2 emissions, not only because we resolve the curtailment issues, and therefore we don't have all those coal power plants standing by. That pretty much concludes my presentation. Again, become member of the fair, because you've seen a number of our ambassadors here in this meeting room. We'd like to move this needle as quickly as possible towards the right to basically get electric driving more affordable and more reachable for each and everybody. I thank you for your attention.
Okay.